Welcome to DoHardMoney.com. My name's Ryan G. Wright. I'm really excited you've taken the time to come and to get educated on how to become a real estate investor. I want to talk about how to become profitable as a real estate investor, and the key is to buy properties right. Now, what does that mean? That's what we're going to talk about a little bit here. There's some terminologies that you need to understand. The first terminology you need to understand is ARV. ARV stands for after repaired value, and this is what the property is worth once it's been repaired. When we talk about after repaired value, we need to get into another term, and another term is called highest and best use. This is typically used for commercial type applications where they talk about a property and what would be the highest and best use for that property. Well, the term highest and best use also holds true in residential real estate investing as well. Because as you go into a property, you want to decide what's going to be the highest and best use of money. As you go in there, you don't want to spend $50,000 in a remodel to only get $20,000 back. Now, there's going to be some things you just have to do. For example, if a home doesn't have a driveway and everything else does, you're not going to get away with just putting some rock out, although you're probably not going to get extra money for that driveway. But if you want to put nicer kitchen cabinets, it might be worth doing, and it might not. Those are some things you have to determine based upon the competition you have in the area. My rule of thumb is looking around to all the active homes and looking at pictures of sold homes. And once you've seen that, you want to be in as good as condition as all the active and sold homes. And I like to do something a little extra. I like to put in granite if nothing else has granite countertops, or I like to put in nicer appliances. So I like to add one extra thing above the nicest condition that you're going to find out there for the average active and sold homes. So next thing we need to talk about is the AARV. And AARV stands for adjusted after repaired value. And basically what you're going to do is you're going to take what it's worth once it's fixed up minus the cost of the repairs. That's going to give you your AARV. So let's go through a quick example here. If the property's worth $100,000, once it's fixed up, highest and best use, making sure we're using our money appropriately, and the cost to do those repairs is $10,000, our adjusted after repaired value is going to be $90,000. So you take the $100,000 minus the 10 gives you your $90,000. Now the question everybody wants to ask is, how much money am I going to get as a loan on this property? If it's worth $100,000 ARV, how much of a loan am I going to get? Well, let's talk common sense for a few minutes. So first off, you've got to take what the property is going to sell for minus the cost of the repairs, gives you your $90,000 in this example. So let's start with that. So you're taking the $90,000. Well, then you've got several other costs. You've got the cost of real estate agents, you've got the cost of title fees, you've got the cost of closing with a title company, those types of things. Those are going to run you about 10%. So 10% additional cost there that you need to take off the $90,000. Next, you're going to have your hard money fees and your interest fees and those types of things, and you're going to need a little bit for slush fund. Well, that's going to be another 10%. And then you want to make money as a real estate investor. My rule of thumb is 10% or $10,000 as a minimum. So if we put another 10% on there for you, for your profit, that's going to give you how much we're able to lend you, which is going to be $63,000 if it's a single family house in a traditional neighborhood and those types of things. So any hard money lender is going to be crazy to lend you more than 70% of the adjusted after repaired value. You're not going to find anybody that will. And the reason for that is there's no money for you. And if you can't make money, why would you even be doing that? So when you want to determine if to make money on a property, you're going to want to decide what's the property worth once it's fixed up. You're going to want to decide what's the highest and best repairs that should be done to that property. You'll subtract that from the after repaired value. That'll give you an adjusted after repaired value. You take off 10% for your title fees and your agent fees. You take off 10% for your hard money fees and interest and those types of things, and another 10% or $10,000 for your profit, which is going to give you $63,000 on this example, and that's what you need to be buying this property for. Now, a word of warning. seeing lots of real estate investors all over the country, the number one mistake we see is real estate investors falling in love with comparables. They find one house that they think is going to be the same house as what they're going to sell for, and it's not. You have to look at what the lowest active and the lowest sold is in the general neighborhood that have average quality fixed up repairs done to them. Just because there's one home that sold for $30,000 more than other homes in the area doesn't mean you're going to get it. You might, but it's pretty unlikely. That's called lucky. That's called winning the lottery. That's called something that isn't going to happen. And so it's really important that you realize don't fall in love with a property, because the number one mistake we see real estate investors making all over this country is thinking a home's worth more than it is. We have independent evaluators that drive to a property, that live in the neighborhood, that have years of experience and know the marketplaces inside and out, that determine what the value of a property is. And I can't tell you, there's several times where real estate investors think that an independent evaluator is wrong. And the reason they think they're wrong is because they're hanging their hat on one single comparable. Lots of times they'll go across border lines. Lots of times they'll skip over busy streets. If you want to find good comparables, you don't start at the highest and work your way down. You start at the lowest and work your way up. And once you find a home that's in similar condition, fixed up condition, that's what you want to stay with. So if you want to be successful as a real estate investor, if you want to make money as a real estate investor, you've got to be careful, you've got to choose the right comparables, and you've got to make sure you do your formulas right. And if you do that, you're going to find funding, you're going to make money, and you're going to be successful as a real estate investor. Happy investing and good luck.